Sherry, William, Lisa, my condolences and sympathies to you. You have lost, we have lost, the whole community has lost a major influence in our lives. And we share your sympathies with you today. As a tribute to Jack, some of us here are wearing running-related clothes or marathon-related clothes as a tribute to Jack. Other things that he really loved in life. Sherry, I've got to tell you that your strength during this whole episode of illness has been a source of strength to me and inspiration to me. I've never seen anyone with the courage you've had. I actually remember a Friday afternoon a couple of weeks ago when you stood on one side of Jack's bed, I stood on the other side and I listened to Jack tell us what he wanted today. Then Jack fell asleep and we went back into the living room. And I realized, going back into the living room, I did not have the courage to console you as I thought you needed to be consoled. When we got back to the living room, you consoled me. And I thank you very much. A couple of weeks ago, when Sherry asked me to say a couple of words today, I told her immediately that I knew exactly what I was going to say. I had very few words to say, and actually I only have 3 words to say. My trick was to get from here to the 3 words. So I thought about Jack, I thought about what he had done for us in the running community, and I thought about the circle of life, and I immediately thought of that wonderful song by Elton John. And I looked at the words to that song, and I read the words, and as I read the words, I was trying to think of Jack, and you may recognize the words. From the day we arrive on the planet, blinking as we step into the sun, we realize there's more to see that can never be seen, more to do that can never be done. It's a beautiful piece, and it goes on. And in the lyrics, Elton John talks about what we do when we are here on earth. We have families, we learn, we contribute. And when I got to that point, I thought about contributions, and I realized that most of us in the world give something to the world and take something back. And then there are some who take everything that comes to them and gives nothing back. And then there are those who will give anything and everything they have. And I knew that that line pertained to Jack. Jack was giving. He gave everything he had to those of us who idolized him and were his disciples. We followed him in anything he told us to do that had to do with running or training. We did it. And as I read the words of that Elton John song, a couple of lines later, there was another sentence that got my attention. One day I won't be there, and I need you to carry on in my place. And I just thought for a second, there's nobody who can carry on in Jack's place. Nobody. There's nobody who had his enthusiasm for life, his enthusiasm for running. No one wanted to take Jack's place. And as I thought about the circle of life, the circle of Jack's life, I realized that his life was 83 years. And I immediately felt neglected, because I've only known Jack about a dozen of those 83 years, and I just wish I could have known him a few more years than that. And all I know of Jack has to do with marathon training and marathon running. And it's those experiences with Jack that led me to the 3 words that I want to leave with you today. And they're 3 very simple words. The 3 words make a phrase. And I told Sherry this when we first talked, because my goal was to be like Jack. And those are the 3 words. Be like Jack. And I've written those 3 words in a Post-it note. I put the Post-it note on my bulletin board. Now, I have a bulletin board which I've maintained for many years. And on the bulletin board, I have quotes and expressions and things that are meaningful to me. There are phrases and quotations that I memorize and re-memorize periodically because it's so important. I have quotes up there from, some are biblical. There's some quotes from the Dead Poets Society, a movie that I really enjoy. There are quotes from Shakespeare and the Giants of Medicine, and Ronald Reagan and John Kennedy, etc., etc. And I have these quotes on my bulletin board, and I periodically take some from the bulletin board, put them in a file, and I recycle them, and I keep recycling. So my Post-it note with those 3 words is stuck in the bulletin board. And just for a moment, I want to tell you the company that Post-it note keeps. Next to the Post-it note are 2 lines the runners all know very well. One is, every day is a good day when you're a runner. And under it says, Sherry and Jack Recktor. The next one the runners all know well. Come run a few miles with us. I don't know how many times I heard Jack say that, and every time he said it, he had a new convert, a new runner. Close to those are a couple of others. One is, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't worry about who is going to get the credit. Those of us who are runners have received these emails from Jack. After every training run, Jack would send out an email, and he would say a certain number of runners ran a certain distance, and the runners braved the cold or the wind or whatever it was, and he would say, you runners did a great job. And in the email, he would point out individuals who made that training run special. Jane's bread or Gail's brownies or something from Donna. He blamed everybody for the success of that training run. What you never saw in the email was anything about Jack. Jack never talked about getting up 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning to set up the water. Jack never talked about the number of gallons of water he put out for us in those training runs. Jack never talked about the fact he stood at that finish line until every single runner was finished, every single run. And then when all the runners finished, Jack went to pick up all the trash. Jack never talked about the number of hours that he and Sherry sat at the computer exchanging emails with the 500 of us from all around the country who wanted to know something about training from Jack and Sherry. Jack was a humble man. When I see my 3 words right next to this particular quotation, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't worry about who's going to get the credit. I put the 2 together and I close my eyes and say, God, please make me like Jack. Close by is another one. The other one is service to people is the rent we pay for the space we occupy on earth. Jack did not occupy much space, but he paid an awful lot of rent. Another close one that I really like, right next to these. You can judge the character of a man by how he treats those who can do nothing for him. If you stop to think about it, we could do nothing for Jack. He did everything for us. Jack's character was enormous. There's another one. Our chief want is for someone to inspire us to be what we know we could be. If all the people who Jack inspired in this room would stand up right now, there'd be no one to see. Jack was our inspiration for years and years. The final one, I think is really pertinent, is what we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others is immortal. What Jack has done for us will be with us forever. So as we leave here today, as we reflect upon today, I'll just ask you to remember these 3 words. And figure out a way that you too can be like